for the black youth of Roxbury, and I want to make a contribution to the minorities in the city of Boston that they never had representation. And I wanted to break the barriers of racism in the city of Boston. This is why I renamed the place in 1987 the development to Mandela after the President Nelson Mandela back in 1987 when he was in prison to protest the double standard that has taken place in South Africa. And on his behalf, on his honor, I put that 70-foot sign on the building, on both sides of the building. And that is a clear message to the City Hall at that time, to Mayor Flynn, to send a message loud and clear that white lining, it will stop at the Mandela.
Wonder if you all live in that Mandela apartment. Thank you very much for naming it. We look forward to spending the rest of the afternoon and the rest of the day. Okay, Barbara. Barbara! Yeah, Barbara!
Come over here. I want you to meet me with your black arms out. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Black neighborhoods. The mayor is critical of the idea, and not all blacks support it. But as CNN's Brian Jenkins reports, organizers of the campaign believe they eventually will overcome resistance to their plan.
They've been feeling the squeeze for some time, the mostly black residents of the Roxbury section of Boston, watching more affluent homebuyers and renters, mostly white, move in on their neighborhood from the north. To help keep the developers of luxury buildings at bay, the tenants of this public housing project voted 3 years ago to change the name of their complex to Mandela, after the jailed South African activist Nelson Mandela. Now, some political activists in Boston are again putting forward a plan to turn several of the city's predominantly black neighborhoods, including Roxbury, into an independent town called Mandela.
Of this responsibility, or else our culture will perish. Mandela is not an opportunity that the whites will give us. It is a challenge that we must take on for ourselves.
It's the Mandela development, which used to be Westminster Willard. The tenants here changed the name to honor Nelson and Winnie Mandela and to signal their participation in the incorporation movement.
I would have not named it alone, the Mandela, without the approval of the majority of and Stephen Coyle, because the tenants have had many, many meetings, and they were lied to. The truth was never put on the table. They knew they were sold out. They knew there was no concession for them.
And we've had meeting after meeting with the BRA, the attorneys, even Mr. Call himself. But it's just promises, promises, promises. We never get anything done constructively there.
I don't see the vacant lots being taken care of. They take me to the housing courts on violation of RAS, where the RAS comes from the city vacant lot.
You got your dead cat, you got your flies, it's all nice and decayed. You got a lot of weeds here you can hide. There's a lot of garbage you can play in. There's dirt, old blocks, you can build all kinds of rat holes and stuff. Be great. Major thoroughfare. This is a major thoroughfare that we're talking about here, but yet you have this garbage laying here. There is no other community in the city of Boston where this kind of thing is allowed to happen.
But Roxbury has no rat killing authority. They have to go to the Inspectional Services Department of the City of Boston and ask them to administer the money and make sure the money all comes to Roxbury. And of course, a part of it goes to Back Bay. That's the way the game is played. We have no base. And what incorporation means.
Concern. The question of being here to ask for the adequate services is more of concern. And if they're developing this land not for you, then you don't have to worry about asking the question, who's going to get the service? Because you're going to be...
percent of the vacant land in the entire city of Boston is in Greater Roxbury. We will be displaced. And so Greater Roxbury, we will be displaced.
From Gumbo, from the DOR, the Department of Revenue, we've acquired tax credits to do this deal. We're empowering our people. We put 15 residents to work already. 2 or 3 of the residents that we put to work hadn't had a job in 6 years. One of them is on my board, Brother Bossman. He used to come to every meeting and say, I know, but can I get a job? And I have to give a good report that at the last meeting he stood up and said, can I get a raise? And we're looking into that because that's what this is all about. There's money to be made here. Everybody can participate. This isn't a deal of philanthropy. Beacon entered in and partnered with us because they're making money and we're making money. And you can free up the land and develop it and empower people. And that's what this is all about. Empowering people is the vision, and to keep our homes. They said 1 minute, but I have one thing left to say, and that is Section 8 has run out in this nation as we know it. And we're living on an extension and vouchers. And the one thing that I want to say, while I have the mayor and the governor and everyone here with the money, that I don't want to see conservatives get in and end the Section 8 or vouchers, and that the people who live in Mandela, the entire development is under Section 8, 30% of your income. That we fight for this and fix the building up, and in 2 years, Newt Gingrich or whoever gets in and says, we have no more funds. And then the residents that live there be forced to move out, and we struggled and fixed this for someone else to move in. So we have to start to begin creative measures in which we assure that the development will remain in the hands of those who deserve it and have struggled for it. I love you, and I say peace. Thank you.
Why do we have Reverend James Bevel coming in on Thursday?
Well, I met Reverend Bevel about 2 months ago, and I have given him all my researches about affordable housing. And I explained to him how Mandela has been hostage to the city, and the Boston Development Agenda is gentrification, and to take control of 5.5 acres of land and displace 1,200 tenants. And when I showed him this article in front of me from a local newspaper, it says, Jail Mandela Boston Style. We did not name this place in honor of President today, Nelson Mandela, to be in jail on his behalf. Therefore, we want to take this national, and we want to be able to expose the agenda of the city of Boston, the Boston Redevelopment Authority, the state, and HUD. What is the future for Roxbury tomorrow? Is it gentrification? Is it displacement? Or is it empowerment and preserve the last black culture left in the city of Boston?
And he suffered much in Alabama and Mississippi.
That's right.
To give human beings the right to vote. This man when I say it, that's right, he deserves it.
You just made a comment about the late, great Ron Brown, in that he embraced the vision that you had in terms of cooperative ownership. Back in what year was this?
1992.
And the $7 million, what happened? Was there some blockage that happened through that whole process?
By HUD. In fact, under Freedom of Information Act, we found out the loan was approved in-house, and then they sent it to California to be rejected. And they held me hostage for 2.5 years. And the documentation are shocking from his firm to even the Secretary of Housing in Washington, D.C., to his aides. And that was a political assassination. And it's sad. Otherwise, I would have been refinanced back in '92. And he actually delivered $7,300,000 to the table.
So Ron Brown brought $7 million to the table, but HUD said no.
That's correct. But recently HUD has given $80 million pocket money to owners to refinance it, over and above what they asked for. And their excuse, we want to make sure we could guarantee affordability. $80 million they gave to owners.
So are these other developers?
Yes.
Are these developers like you? Are they
Section 8
Arabic? I'm trying to make a point.
No, I'm the only Arab in the country, trust me.